Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on PharcydeTV. I'm chilling with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
Going on, everybody?
Cool. And we got our special guest, musician in Splendid Radio tonight, a gentleman by the name of V. What's going on with you, V?
What's going on, brother? I'm cool. Everything good.
Yeah, it was a cool little handoff, man. Once again, I call Yamin the mayor, man. He
He definitely is the mayor. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? That's my man.
I'll tell you a quick little funny story about Yamin. I had met him. Where I remember meeting him was in London, but we were on a cool. It was a cool cigarette tour that the Roots were on and the Far Side was on, and he was there, but I was kind of like bouncing in and out. But Prince used to own this club in LA called Grand Slam.
Okay.
And it was downtown, real cool, just always kind of popping. And you know what? Prince might not have owned it at the time that I met Yamin or that I saw Yamin, the story that I'm about to tell right now, but it was at the location. So anyway, so I'm in the club is popping, and I see this dude that kind of looked like one of the Marleys, and he was walking upstairs, and he was blowing a little bit of green, and he had the whole little thing going on, but it seemed like he had a gang of people around him. So I was thinking it was, I thought it was one of the Marleys. So anyway, I went upstairs, but I didn't see his face. I just saw him from I saw a dude with dreads walking up the stairs. He had the champagne, I guess, the glasses, maybe a couple females, something like that, but a little entourage moving. So anyway, I get upstairs and he turns around and I'm like, oh man, Yamin. I'm like, man, you be popping up everywhere, man.
That's wwhy he's all world. You know what I'm saying? That name fits him perfect, bro.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I understand he had all that hair, like, the big hair, like, the dreads was like all the way maxed out. So, you thinking he was one of the Marleys is like understandable.
Yeah, like literally, you know what I'm saying? And not, like and Pete, not on, put it this way, not on some super fan stuff, but like one of my homeboys had got married.
Okay.
And one of the Marley brothers was in the wedding. And it's crazy because until after, so we had like about 3 or 4 rehearsals together. And even though I'm looking at this guy, I am not connecting him with the Marleys, man. I'm just like, okay, this is a guy with dreadlocks. Right. we both in the wedding together.
Right.
And then after the last rehearsal, everybody had dinner together because nobody really spoke because everybody was, tense with the whole wedding thing and all that. And then we were at the dinner table and he grabbed, I think he had some wine and they might have toasted or something. And he raised his hand and all the Marley sons have this ring and it like the diamonds in it kind of like sparkled up. And I was like, wait a minute. And then my boy, and I didn't ask him. I asked my boy because actually I thought that he lived in LA. Like I didn't, because we didn't talk to each other. Like it was just kind of like I guess the dinner was to kind of like break the ice, but before that, everybody was just kind of like practicing the whole wedding stuff. So anyway, that's my little Yamin Marley story.
Man, I understand that, brother. Yamin, you can't tell what coast he from, like, or where he from, from where he at. Like he fit in on whatever coast, island, whatever the case may be. That cat is gonna fit in. That's why all world is moniker.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. He dang, who was it? Oh man, I still can't remember. Someone had died. It wasn't Prince though. We were thinking it was Prince, but somebody had died, and Quest was DJing this event. And Yamin hit me up last minute and he was like, oh man, I'm in town, woo woo woo. He's like, I'm gonna connect you. He said, if you're downtown, I'm gonna connect you with this girl, and she's gonna take care of you. So I'm just like, oh, okay, he's gonna, he's just gonna, put me on the list. I'm gonna get in or whatever. I show up and I'm like, man, it was just like carte blanche all the way up to the little thizzle. And I was just like, okay, man, I forgot who I was hanging out with tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So tell me this, man. You look considerably kind of younger than us a little bit.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Oh, okay.
You're a gentleman and a scholar for that comment right there. You know what I mean? Because I don't really go with the age, John. You know what I'm saying? I kind of keep that under wraps. But if we talk about history, you'll start to realize the age. You know what I mean? I don't know how old your brothers are, but look like
well, peep this though. We all look good, man. But I can't say this for facts. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, my co-host, he's a comedian also. Just
all right.
Hey,
but yeah, he's definitely the younger of us. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely positive.
Age ain't nothing but numbers. It's all in the mind. It's all in your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'm from the old school. If you know.
Okay.
It's no secret that I'm from the old school. So but I can hang with the young. I can hang with the youngins a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
When did you hear hip hop for the first time?
When did I hear hip hop? Oh man, look. I think when Sugar Hill Gang came out with To the Hip Hop, the Hip It. That was like, it was between that and Christmas, Curtis Blow, Christmas rapping.
Yeah, he had a Christmas song.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one we used to debate about, which one I actually heard first, but I know Sugar Hill Gang blew up so bad, so much on the radio that it was like, that was like the first thing. Because I remember my dad kept saying like, "What's that hotel motel, Holiday Inn?" And I was like, "Come on, Dad, you know what I'm saying? This is the new realm." So he didn't understand. Nobody understood it at that time. It was kind of so like, from the left or whatever. It seemed like to a lot of people, I think they didn't think it was going to be pliable, like it was real music or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it was a skill, So people was writing it off right in the beginning, and it was crazy because us as youngsters, kind of reminds me of now. Us as youngsters, we knew that this was something new, that was gonna, we felt as though it was gonna last and it was just as pliable as any other genre. But our parents was like, "Nah, get that out of here."
You know what? When I knew that hip hop was so my thing is I went to high school with one of the members of the Pharcyde, and then I met I met two of them when I was in like the 10th, 11th grade high school, and then I met another two like in my senior year going into graduation or whatever. And so when they were doing hip hop, they were dancers also. So it was just kind of like, they had danced behind rappers, and then they had done choreography. And it was a progression that was similar to DJs when they started producing. You know what I'm saying? DJs started producing, and it was just kind of like, well, okay, a lot of people might not know it, but back in the day, a lot of DJs didn't get signed to the deal. It was just like the rapper got signed to the deal, and then the DJ was kind of what came along with the rapper. And then some rappers was cool and would kind of put them down or whatever. But the DJ, he kind of had to develop another skill set, you know what I'm saying, in order to add, something to it. So kind of like with the Pharcyde, at least three of them, two of them for show danced for real, and then one kind of did it, and then one was just in the group, you know what I'm saying? And so it was kind of like the progression from dancing to rapping. But the crazy thing is, like, they never really rapped for like a super long time, but were kind of hell of a good at it, you know what I'm saying? And kind of yeah, and it kind of panned out and turned out really well.
Absolutely.
It's funny because the last couple of people I asked that question, because I use hip hop to kind of gauge people, you know what I'm saying? But the last two people I had on, they kind of gravitated to the Sugar Hill Gang. And the funniest thing about it, I was so young, not to date myself, but when the song came out, it really wasn't clicking in my head, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, and like all of that. But you know, being black, I resonated with like the holiday meal they were talking about, and then talking about the chicken just tastes like wood.
Yo, man, that joint had us caught up for a minute. Every everybody knew all the words. You know what I'm saying? It was just the storyline was like you had to know the whole thing. You know, the next one that everybody had to know from that was like Roxanne. You know, everybody wanted to know Roxanne. You know, if you know Roxanne, like that was like a challenge. It was more detrimental than like knowing your homework and shit. Like we had to know Roxanne from front to back.
I'll tell you a personal whack fact on the whole Roxanne situation. Why did I think the other one just looked way doper to me personally? You know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's that. You know, I mean, I think that was a dilemma too. You know what I mean?
At the moment in time, and
you know, I agree. You know, but the original Roxanne, not the. I don't know who called it, but you know, Roxanne Shante, man, she laid it.
The real Roxanne.
No. Roxanne Shante was dope. Shante was dope. But the other one,
the real Roxanne.
The real Roxanne, right? So I can't even say the real Roxanne. Who is the real Roxanne? You know what I mean? Like she.
Yeah. So tell me this: what made you gravitate to R&B over rapping, or did you start off like rapping and then you transitioned to R&B?
Oh man, you know, that's an interesting question because like my mom and dad are both musicians. My dad's a singer, been singing since Sam Cooke days. And my mom has been in the church playing, you know, she's been playing piano naturally with no lessons or whatever since like the age of 5. So she, in her church, she was like, you know, the choir director and, you know, playing all the songs and everything in church. So I came up listening to Sam Cooke and the whole nine. My dad was very interested in giving me the first Jackson 5 records. You know, when they came out, you know, I'll Be There, ABC, Ben. So I was, you know, listening to the Motown stuff from the kid perspective, which was a great thing in my, you know, for me to see other youngsters, other kids. I mean, they were older than me at the time, but they were still kids. That would just kind of just gave me a new belief level as, you know, a person that comes up with musicians like I did. So it was a natural thing for me to gravitate towards singing. But when hip hop came, like, you know, I wasn't trying to be a singer. I was like, I wanted to be not even a rapper. I mean, we had a couple of rap groups, but I was beatboxing. It's just like the whole hip hop craze was more, you know, hip at the time because R&B and that whole realm was kind of like the, you know, kind of at the old at that time. So hip hop was like the new thing. So as opposed to, you know, singing and whatever like that, I was gravitating to, you know, hip hop, beatboxing, breakdancing, you know, and all of the whole hip hop culture. So it was dope. So I wasn't really like thinking about singing. That was just something natural that we did anyway, like singing around the house and my dad having me singing for his friends and things of that nature. So, but in school, I started to, you know, sing in the choir and that kind of thing. But I never really thought about trying to be, you know, since I was little, I was trying to be like Michael Jackson. But when hip hop came, it was like Rakim, you know, I want to be like, you know, Run DMC. We were doing like Run DMC, like talent shows in school and stuff like that.
So you probably say Michael Jackson was probably your first singing influence.
I would say, yeah, Michael Jackson, because, you know, right at the time when I was growing up, that was the first influence. Like my sister put me in front of the TV when they came on Soul Train the first time. And it was like, you know, you can go back to that time and just realize the excitement and everything that was going on. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Like, and I was like 3 or something. So, you know, 4 or 5, something like that. So it was like, yeah, that was like, you know, the Jackson 5 is all time. They're like, I'm not saying they're underrated, but man.
Well, you got to give up some love to the Silvers too, man. The Silvers, you know, Jeremy looked like.
All right, you got Now it ain't
And
often
look,
that I'm thrown off, but yeah, the silvers.
the Silvers is all time, yo. Don't even get it twisted. Listen, me and y'all mean one of our like all time movies is The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. So they had the Silvers was in it at the halftime. You know, I don't know if you ever seen that movie, but with Dr. J
Yeah, I remember.
and the whole nine, man, the Silvers was killing it in that joint.
Yeah, nah, Jeremy a little younger, not because he's younger, but I'm just saying the Silvers are, you
No, I
know.
mean, look. Most things I can keep up with. I mean, you definitely lost me on the silvers. I mean, I don't know. Was that a group? I mean, what is it?
No.
Jackson 5 is old enough. You talking about the silvers? That's older than Temptations.
I told you when I start talking, y'all got, you ain't gotta ask me my age when I start talking about who my influences and whatnot are. You can figure it out. But yeah,
nah,
man.
I date myself though. That's why Jeremy just, and then Jeremy's, like I say, he's a comedian, so he gonna, what I'm saying. You give him any little pan dripping, he gonna get you. He's not a bully comedian though.
I'm not that type at all.
It's all good. It's all
but
good, bro.
how would you define neo soul?
Ooh, neo soul to me is it's a touch of the 70s soul and the Motown soul, the Gamble and Huff realm, meaning that it's live instrumentation, but it's new cats, doing the live instrumentation realm. And the thing about the live instrumentation from back in the day is that it didn't have as much structure. It wasn't necessarily, okay, hook here, verse here, then hook. It wasn't so much, patterned off. It could be like a 7-minute, 8-minute song.
A jam session.
It was kind of like it was organic. So it's kind of like a jam session that is kind of structured to be packaged, as a record. You know what I mean? If you will. I mean, that's just off the top, but yeah, man, it's like, it's kind of organic, eclectic. It's not necessarily following any patterns. It could do anything. It could be all verse, no hook, or it could be all, it's like, and then the choice of instruments starts to come into like more of the 70s. You had like, live bass and Rhodes, Wurlitzer, keys, strings, so different stuff. You start to put other sounds in it, it gets away from what you would call neo, like a new soul, because our old soul was what Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Stevie Wonder, so the new soul was taken from that era as much as we could, and kind of like, not saying regurgitate it, but it kind of like put it in our best form. And kind of go into a soul vibe coming from your soul. Then that's another thing, is that again, kind of speaking your truth, whatever that may be, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's life, whatever you're going through, you're kind of putting that, which most writers and musicians do.
You know what? I was going through your Instagram and I was pleasantly surprised with a little bit of your Christmas caroling. And I was kind of like, man, he can sing. I was like, you can't fake a Christmas carol, you know what I'm saying? You hear Christmas.
Right. Now, man, that's just part of, I just felt like it was funny because I didn't necessarily plan that. I had already said I wanted to kind of, again, one of the Jackson 5 Christmas album was like my best album coming up, you know what I'm saying? And so like them songs, all those songs, right, just getting every year. We listen to Stevie Wonder, Christmas album, Mariah Carey, whatever, coming up. So I always loved those songs, and coming up in school and whatever, in choir, that's all, we knew all those records. And then we used to do that kind of stuff, like sing the Temptations and all that, like kind of on the corners in my town in Paulsboro, where I'm from. It was like some of the OGs was like singing, you know what I mean, like doing that kind of stuff. So we was all doing the Temptations and singing that kind of stuff. So that's kind of in my blood, my family. That's what we do. So I felt like I went outside in the snow that day, the first time, and I think my daughter was playing something, and that song was on, Let It Snow, not the Brian McKnight one, but the original, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, the old joint. So I just happened to film myself, and then my daughter jumped in in the video at the end, and it was kind of like, you know, impromptu. Like I just grabbed the video and I posted it, and then after that, you know, like a couple of my cousins was like, "Yo, do some more, man. We really need this to be uplifted at this time, you know, with the whole thing being shut down for Christmas." And I was like, "All right, you know what I mean? Let me get another one." So I did like two. I was gonna do a series of them, but you know, I was going outside to make it look kind of like Christmas caroling. But you know, ain't nobody really doing no Christmas caroling at this time. So I would kind of just go out and kind of like, you know, kind of do it in the phone as if I was Christmas caroling. So I did a couple of the classic records, man, and you know, people kind of appreciated it, man. I got a lot of shares, and people really dug it. So I felt like that was something I could give back if that, you know, if it's in a Christmas crowd, if that brought people's cheer up a little bit more this year, then hey, man, that's what I'm supposed to do as an artist. That made me feel just as good as, say, you know, putting out an album or whatever. Just doing that for the yeah.
You know what? Yeah, 2020 has been a cold piece, man. If you went out and started caroling, they probably would have tried to pelt you with rocks or something.
Exactly. You know, I was like, look, man, and do it right through the phone, man, to the people, and just, you know, put it out there. So, you know, it came out cool, man. Everybody was really appreciative, man. I appreciated all the love I got from doing that, you know.
Nice.
And now everybody wants me to do a Christmas album for next year, by the way. So
I'm thinking about it. Nah, you can do it. You can do like I said, you can't, it's some stuff you can, you know, it's some stuff people can just pull off, and then it's some stuff that when you see people do it, it's like, okay, you know, this is what they do. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that love.
Oh no, I always give props when props are due. So throughout this conversation, we know that you fan of the Sugar Hill Gang, a little bit of Curtis Blow. We got that. That's on the old school. Then the Jacksons and the Silvers. Now, when you were in junior high school, who would you say would have been like the dope singing group or the dope singer that you gravitated to?
Junior high school. I think that was the era. That was the DeBarge era for me. So let me tell you something, man. Power 99 in Philly, when I used to get up for school, used to play El DeBarge. You know, there was Switch, and then there was DeBarge. So I'm in the DeBarge a little bit, the DeBarge era, man. And man, they were killing it with all this love. I like it, you know. So every morning going to school, man, we were hearing that on Power 99 coming. It was like playing it every hour on the hour. And it was just crazy. It was like, so that was kind of like when I started. It's funny because in junior high, I started to sing with, you know, girls and stuff. I started realizing, me and a couple of other of my childhood friends started to sing in the hallways and between classes and stuff in junior high. And those were the songs that we started singing. Earth, Wind and Fire, Philip Bailey, like The Reasons, and El DeBarge, which was like, I like all this love. We was like into that Maxwell realm, like, you know, singing the high, you know, and the girls was like, you know, loving that stuff back in the day. But DeBarge was killing it at that time.
You know what? Interesting, real quick. I have this inner battle with myself between being an old stale dude that just hate everything, and then and feeling like, you know, my time was just the dopest time, and then everybody else is just kind of like they don't get it. But I do find myself with the newer generation right now, kind of like there's not really any romance in the music. You know what I'm saying? Where like we had romance in our music. Like even if you didn't know how to court a girl, like like now, you know, courting a girl or flirting with a girl is like probably open-handed slapping her on her, you know, slapping her on her ass or something. Like there is no romance to the situation. It's just kind of like you know, very upfront, straight out, no courtship, no kind of, you know, playing off of each other, getting to know each other. It's like almost the culture is just kind of like very how could I say it? There's no romance in the songs. I just say that lack of romance. I'm not going to down a whole generation or a whole genre of people. I just don't hear many artists of today singing about romance. What would you say to that?
I think it has changed. I think that the days of Luther, the Luther type records, because that's what we kind of came up with, you know, the romance more than the, let's get up in the bed and just do. But then you had the Teddy Pendergrass round, but even Teddy was like turn off the lights. It was still kind of romantic, like a romance round. Like you right, it's kind of like hardcore now. Like we just, I don't know. It's like a new time, bro. Like so I agree with you to a certain extent. I think there's some artists that are still trying to do the romance type of records. You know what I mean? There's a couple out there that are doing that, but for the most part, in the new era, they are getting right down to the nitty gritty. Like it ain't no hey, it's kind of like they want, and they're specifically being graphic with that thing. Whereas though it was kind of a space left for you to imagine with the older records. They would leave an opening for your mind to kind of go there. They might have a girl moaning in the back of the song. A lot of the songs in the 70s and whatever the case may be in the 80s, they would have a girl. So that was like as sexual as it got. And then you had Minnie Riperton going in. Would you come inside me? We had some joints, but even that, it was kind of like it was still metaphorical to a certain extent. Like you still, but so I mean, I think it's a little, the balance is kind of off now. It's kind of like everything is like
slanted,
lick you up, lick you down. You know what I mean? Like right off out the gate, and women ain't mad about it. You know what I'm saying? They be grooving to, I never forget when we was in the joint. It was like, I don't know what joint Little Kim had out at the time, like, but it was like I seen girls dancing to it too, like or bees ain't nothing but hoes, and and
yeah.
you see girls out there like, and I'm like, word, like yo, so it's a whole different era kicking off at this point in time, man.
It's interesting because I was talking to somebody this week, and I said, don't you remember when Little Kim used to be the most explicit lyrics that you would hear flying out of females' mouth? And it's like now Little Kim is PG-13 on them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yo, man, it's good. It's going. They tried to prevent it for a minute, like radio, whatever. I remember rap couldn't even be played. It was like a certain hour that it was like no rap Wednesday, like Thursdays or whatever. They was like still. And then this is in the 90s after like Run DMC and everything. So it's like I couldn't believe that like it was still kind of like shunned. It took a minute, man, but now it's just all holds bar. Like, I guess they letting the people speak, man. Them young girls and guys, man, like they want to hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they can't shun it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's some I will say I think there's a little more nuance to it, because I would even say the whole concept of just, hip hop artists being rawer with their emotions, sexually, even that's kind of old school now, you know what I mean? I think we're more in the era of just more emotional, pure raw emotion. You know what I mean? It's less sexual of anything. You talk about hip hop. I mean, these guys, they're more talking about what they would want to do, how whatever the sexual experience would make them want to do. And also kind of when I say nuance, they slip in drug references a lot. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of drugs.
But you shouldn't. I would always suggest, if you're looking for like pure musical, sexual stuff, you should veer away from hip hop totally. Anyway, I mean, you got, because though even that lane was small, you had like LL Cool J, late 90s, early 2000s, Ja Rule, Nelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rappers that hip hop rappers, they didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like they had one song that Def Jam made them put on their record because they was like, we need women fans. That was it.
Right.
But I would say artists like, of course, Drake or The Weeknd, they're the people that's kind of somewhat R&B vibe, whatever. But even then, it's like some drug references. It's always like, hey, girl, I love you. Let's make love and snort some coke.
Right. I mean,
it's always some subtle. It's not like it's so it's there, but it's just more nuance to it. You know what I'm saying? It's just all of what you into, you know.
Yep, that's true, man. I mean, you're absolutely right, bro.
Yeah. So how would you? I wanted to know what inspired your first album title because I thought it was really dope. The album, "The Revolution Will Be Televised."
All right. So
But
it's
what
called The Revelation is Now Televised, right?
is not televised? Sorry. Yeah.
No, is now televised. So
Mhm.
it actually came from the, Gil Scott Heron's record, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised,
Right.
that he had out back in the 70s. And I had put together a bunch of songs, kind of a couple of socially conscious songs. It was a song called Who Would I Be on that collection of records that I did with DJ Jazzy Jeff's production company, A Touch of Jazz at the time, and the producers. And we were trying to, put a title to it. And I had a couple of titles or whatever, but Pete from BBE wanted to kind of, I guess he saw something in the parallels of Gil Scott and The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. So um, he kind of told me that he basically was looking at that album as kind of a parallel, and then me and my manager kind of sat there with that title and tried to figure out how can we update that title
Mm-hmm.
to fit today. So that title is The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. But I was always a stickler in thinking that because of scripture and what I've read, it kind of hinted to something being seen in the end times, right? Uh, it's a verse in the scripture that says something in reference to the whole world will watch as something happens or whatever. And I was like, watch, like this is like thousands of years ago, and they're talking about like the whole world watching something, like right in the scripture. And I'm like, oh, this is a hint to so I said, okay, how can we change this? So we came up with The Revelation is Now Televised. So that was like kind of a play on that whole realm. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's how we kind of came up with that, man. And yeah, bro, appreciate that.
Yeah.
What was your introduction to the Philly, I guess the Philly music scene? Not junior high school, not as a kid or whatever, but like you connecting the dot with someone, then connecting it to another, and then kind of moving around the circuit a little bit in Philly.
Oh man, I got that whole Philly realm real young. See what my older sister, who is 13 years my elder, uh, was, she ended up dating and marrying one of the Futures, which was a group that Gamble and Huff was working with in the late 70s, early 80s. They had a couple of records out. So I was kind of in the twist, like as a youngster, kind of like going to the Spinners, and they were opening up for the Spinners. James King, he's one of the original members of the Futures. That's my brother-in-law. He ended up being my first manager actually, and kind of introduced me into the game. But just being around him and everything that they were doing at the time, as far as shows and whatever, I kind of got into knowing a little bit about the music industry. And then when I was old enough, he started to take me to sessions, Nick Martinelli, and cats who did Patti LaBelle and a lot of the stuff in Philly down at Sigma Sounds. I started to be introduced to it and ended up getting on a couple of records as background vocalist, like Christopher Williams' first record, and doing a couple of my own records with some local producers and things of this nature. So I was kind of introduced to the whole Philly sound, man, along with just hearing it because I'm here in Philly. That's kind of was my introduction as a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
So which do you like best, singing or songwriting?
Oh man. I think singing is definitely my first love. I was writing real early though. I mean, after a while you can't help but, start to try to come up with something yourself. So I was writing songs as early as, man, in my preteen. I can think of writing. Me, my cousin, and my brother used to like put little songs together in our bedroom with a little guitar and little drums, and I sing some stuff and we try to tape it and whatever. This is like all, the good thing about that realm, man, it was like I said, we had the hip hop and the R&B. So I was like going back and forth doing everything. It was just like a crazy time, but it was a creative time. So, it was just beautiful just to do. But I would say singing. I would say, songwriting is something that if I'm around a songwriter that does that thing, I can sit back as an artist or singer and just let them do their thing. I kind of write by necessity, just to get it out and do my thing too. And I like to have a co-write so I can kind of ping pong. That's what Yamin ended up being so much of an integral part for these last 20 years. It's just having a person to kind of ping pong. That's always good. I like to get another idea, another perspective. I can write stuff by myself, and I've helped a lot of people to learn that whole process. But I'm cool with having someone write for me and me just being in my element as an artist and as a singer.
Tell me this. Oh, you go ahead, Jerry.
I was gonna say, can you do me a favor? If you could, I'm not real much of a singer, but I wrote a song when I was real young. It was actually my first song. I could give you a reference or whatever. Maybe
Hit that John. Hit that John.
Oh, okay. All right. If you're hungry, let's eat it, chew it, munch on it. My chicken's waiting, coming, munch on it. I'm just a butcher looking for some chicken, something like that.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that, yo. That's yo. I mean, you playing off a genuine John, you know what I'm saying, of course. But I like the way. Wow.
I don't know.
As long as you don't know, it don't matter, fam. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Look, remixes is in right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, bro.
No.
You crazy though. You crazy for that one. You crazy for that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Why you gotta do that, bro? Why you do that, bro?
We needed that.
Song, man.
I just thought maybe you could help me. That's all, man. My song right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can help you with that one, bro, but
that was just the reference.
I ain't mad at what you came up with. I ain't mad.
So if there was somebody who had the look, they kind of had the sound, they felt that they could write, and they had the concept, but then when put under pressure, it just kind of didn't work out, what would be the advice that you would give somebody who's like, they want to write music and they have the emotion in them, like to write the music?
All right, you're talking about from a writer's perspective or from from a writer's perspective? If they wanted to
write music,
but they're not hitting the mark per se.
Yeah, like they're on and off. They're on and off.
I mean, you know what's funny, man? Writing, just like anything else, is almost kind of like in the eye of I can't say the beholder, like from your eye, but from your ear. Because the thing about a lot of the songs now, a lot of us old school writers will be like, what? Because sometimes a song might have like 3 words in it, but like 75% of the song, they're not really. So it's like, you got to ask yourself, did James Brown write down, hey, was that Jones he was writing down on a piece of paper? Like, if the song is written, and that's most of it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it'll be a song now, like yada 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 yada. Like, okay, now, so for somebody that's sitting there trying to think of the most intricate lines when they're writing, and then you're like, that's the hit though. That Jones, they repeating this one John over and over and over again. So it's kind of like, it's all in the eye of the beholder, or the ear of the whatever you want to say. Like, I would just say that it's got to be heartfelt. But see, that's why, like Luther Vandross, if you came to him with a song, because you already knew that Luther would take your song to another level, regardless of what you had on paper. You could have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Luther gonna make that joint a hit. They say Luther used to take publishing just because of the fact that he gonna sing your joint and it's gonna take it to another level. So it also can depend on if the singer can emote or can express those words. So it could be a basic song that someone thinks, but then the singer takes it and kills it with the emotion and makes it a hit. Or it could be an intricate song and a non-singer, it depends. It's very. That's why making a hit song is kind of like hitting the lottery, because no one knows the real formula. Like, you think you got the formula, but even if you got the formula, it's got a timestamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's errors. Barry Gordy had it for a minute. Gamble Huff had it for a minute. Teddy Riley had it for a minute. Everybody has their era, and then it's like, why don't they still have? Why is this? They ain't able to do a number one hits no more. Like, if the thing, times change, people's ear frequencies change, and whatever. So it's ever changing. That thing is changing. Yep. So I would say, yeah, they can get with a co-write, man. Not to finish answering your question. And they can get with someone a little bit more experienced in writing too, to kind of help them, or a producer. A lot of times a producer is able to help a new writer to place where they should put different things in their song, or how they could rearrange it to better fit a production, a whole production of a song. Because sometimes we are writing music and we're writing lyrics, or we're writing words. Then you have to put melody, and you have to put a cohesive glue on that thing. And that's the producer. And the producer could be somebody that has nothing to do with playing any instruments or writing any lyrics, but they just know what they want to hear and how that thing's supposed to turn out at the end of the assembly line. So if you have that type of person, he could guide you, or she could guide you to being a better writer and a musician. Yep.
So when I was going through some of your bio, and I was looking at the different people that you've collaborated with and whatnot, and then you just mentioned earlier that you were doing some stuff underneath Jazzy Jeff's label.
Shout out to DJ Jazzy Jeff. What up, bro?
Hey.
How did you end up dealing with like that? You know what I'm saying? That would be like somebody from LA hooking up with the younger Dr. Dre, like not Dr. Dre who did the Chronic and just, did all that, but the Dr. Dre working with Eazy-E, very talented dude, people hear the name around. How did you end up hooking up with Jazzy Jeff?
Yeah, man, that's a good story. Like, Jeff for us in the Delaware Valley, which is, Delaware, South Jersey, and Philly. Jeff, at the time when, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince kind of popped and was, really popular, they were like the go-to people in Philly. Like, Jeff was actually the person, like a Barry Gordy for us in this area. Like, he was putting together production companies and, doing that whole thing that you see that Gamble and Huff was doing at the time, and that Barry Gordy was kind of doing. Other than trying to be a label, it was more like a production company though. So it was, both, Motown had the production company and the label, so did Gamble and Huff. So Jeff was just migrating to that. But it's interesting because back in my college days, I knew a couple of people that knew Jeff, and in college I was singing the national anthem at the basketball games for Drexel University, and one of the basketball players, John Rankin, actually used to bodyguard for Jeff with Charlie Mack, and he actually took me to Jeff's crib. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna take you to Jeff's crib." You know what I'm saying? Because Jeff, I'm gonna, give you an audition. So he took me to Jeff's crib one day, and I think they had just did like Nightmare on, I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson or whatever. Will was there. So I really didn't get a chance. There was a lot of people there, but I didn't get a chance to really audition for Jeff. But I got to view, Jeff and Will working some songs or whatever the case may be, and them kind of in their prime. Me and Jeff didn't hook up again though until after I put out a song. Me and a guy, Harold Russell from Up and Up Productions over in Willingboro. I'm from Paulsboro, which is like East Philly, right? Like Philly has no east side. We're right across the river is South Jersey. So we can look at the airport in Philly, and like right from my high school, right across the river, maybe 3 miles. So South Jersey and Philly is kind of like, that's our metropolitan area, just like North Jersey to New York. You can look right across the river and see that's how we are, South Jersey to Philly. But Willingboro is a little bit up the road. But I was working with this guy from Up and Up, and we put out a record. We was doing production, and we put out a record called "It's Raining" that actually got radio play. and went to #1 on the countdown. Like, you know, for like a week, it was #1. It was a big thing in the area. We put out like a tape. It was in Sam Goody, and it was on the market or whatever, and it was doing good. And Jeff heard about it at the time. And when Jeff was restructuring his production company, getting new cats, and he had contacted me, and we got together with his production company and ours and started to work together from that. But I had to remind him that, yo, man, I came to your crib. He remembered that I came to his crib to audition with John like previously. You know what I mean? So it was like, yo, he kind of knew of me. And also James Poyser, who I went, you know, actually I met in college days. He actually ended up doing a lot of production with Jeff in the early days, and he started to actually have me come up and do some demos and things of that nature. So we were all in the same area, man, and we kind of linked up like that, you know, which is a blessing to have Jeff in this area like that.
So tell me this: how would you, if someone wanted to ask you to classify yourself within a genre? I mean, for me, I just always feel like soul is safe. You know what I'm saying? Soul is just like safe. But what would you classify yourself as?
When you say genre, you talking about the genres that are out like right now? You talk about hip hop, soul, neo soul, you know what? Okay, so I think mine is I would say you know, soul R&B, you know,
Okay.
soul R&B. But you know, some R&B is, you know, I had to really realize this too. Without the hip hop, you know, 808s and all that, there's some R&B songs that are still considered hip hop. You know what I mean? Just from a flavor point of view. So, you know, like James Brown, that's all live drums. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But it's like now you listen to most of the samples of James Brown. So it's like that's hip hop in its essence. Some of the samples they didn't even have to really add drums. Like you could add it a thicker kick or whatever, but some of that stuff is like that Marvin Gaye one joint, man, that they sampled from Troubled Man, bro. Oh my God, that joint is like in its entirety is already hip hop. Like, and it's some of them records are just like that. So I can't really, you know. So I would say, you know, R&B hip hop or soul hip hop too. But when I just say soul R&B, I think that covers everything. You know what I mean?
Well, when was the first time you heard of the Roots?
Oh wow, man, that was, you know, in the early, you know, mid 90s, man, when I started to, you know, come to Philly and work with Jeff. Like the Roots was like, they used to have the parties at the crib and whatever. So everybody would try to get in, man, because like, you know, they would be doing like the full jam sessions. And we used to go, it was like a big thing, like, can you get in? You know what I'm saying? Anybody, you know what I'm saying? See if we can get in, see if we get somebody, you know what I'm saying, get you in or whatever the case may be. It was like, yo, it was crazy because it was like a fraternity. It was kind of like, you know, you went to a frat party joint with like live band up in the joint. Like it was like crazed out, man. I mean, Philly was crazy because at that time it was Boys to Men, you know, it was like people was it was like, you know, it was really hot in this area, you know, as far as a lot of talent and things kind of like coming out of
here. How did you meet Yamin?
Me and y'all, you know what, man? Me and y'all met at A Touch of Jazz because he actually is kind of the cat that brought Floetry, the group Floetry, Marsha and Natalie, down to A Touch of Jazz, down to Jeff, him and Tone Walking Bear, right? So they kind of like, you know, had Floetry brought them down to A Touch of Jazz, and I was at A Touch of Jazz at the time. So, you know, me and y'all started clicking. And then, you know, just to fast forward, Jeff actually ended up having a trip to go to Africa where he took like me, Yamin, and a couple of other artists, and we all went out to Africa. And at that time, me and Yamin was kind of, we knew each other from the studio. I knew he was with Floetry. He was managing Floetry at a point in time, and he was an MC for Cash. Me and him was just getting acquainted. And so we was out there, man, for like 2 weeks. We opened, you know, New Year's. I had a song. I did a house record with Masters at Work at the time. So Jeff was spinning. I did, you know, we performed at, you know, New Year's big gala, man. It was crazy. And me and Yamin was out there, you know, in the mountains, and we was just vibing. So we was out there just clicking and was like, yo, man, we get back, we're we're gonna work on some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I was about to do an album, and I was like, yo, bro, like let's go back and really craft a record and do a whole album and whatever. And that was the Revelation is Now Televised ended up being me and his first co-writing partnership and the start of me and him actually working together. So we actually came back, and throughout that year we started to work on those records that you hear on that album. And then after the A Touch of Jazz hold, those days when we started to do independent things, when it got to the point of like say MySpace and putting your own music out independently, of course everybody migrated to the cribs, you know, having your own equipment and stuff. So me and y'all just decided to continue to work and do our own production and or, you know, link up with other producers. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We put out maybe like 4 independent albums since the Revelation, you know, and he's been my co-write along with other cats, you know what I mean? But lyrical co-write is what I talk about a lot. And he does tracks too as he's producing, and me and him have been producing and writing together for a minute. But yeah, man, him bringing Flowetry down to A Touch of Jazz. Jeff was actually, Jazzy Jeff, I gotta say, is like a glue for a lot of cats, putting cats in the mix in this area, man, and cats actually becoming, you know, lifelong friends in this, you know, in the music era, in the music business, man. It's really a great thing to know that, you know, you had like a cat like that in this area to do that. You know what I mean? Put the right puzzles together, put the right people together, you know, because I don't know why, you know, with Yamin on the trip, me on the trip, like that just was a natural click, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, like you said, it was like, Yamin is easy to get along with, and he's always spitting some stuff. So it was easy for me to say, huh, yeah, man, this cat is going, you know, we can write some records, and we have, bro. So yeah.
You mentioned like you working with like some pretty big influential people just all around, you know what I mean? Not just Philly born. Who's your dream collab?
Ooh. My dream collab.
Yeah, be live or dead. No matter.
Chaka Khan, bro.
Chaka Khan.
Chaka
Okay.
Khan. Chaka Khan. Yeah, Shaka, man. Shaka
I wasn't
is
expecting
my
that.
all-time reach. I gotta tell you, know, like that is like, I don't know what it is, bro. I go to a Shaka concert, and you know, certain cats that'll make tears come out my eyes, but I don't know what it is, bro. Like it's something, like, you know. So I've always admired her, man. You know, just her voice and her vibe, her music, the whole night. Not along with like, you know, Patty and everybody else, but I'm just saying, you saying pick one, I would have to say Shaka. Like, you know, Shaka and me kind of got the same spirit. She did some Stevie wrote some records for her. I understand because I'm in that same realm. So yeah, man, I would say Shaka Khan with a duet, John, would be like crazy. Maybe we can get that to happen before everything kick off. Like we need to get that to happen. You know what I mean?
You speaking it into existence.
There it is. I'm speaking that into existence. Shaka, if you hear me, let's do that Donnie and Roberta joint.
You name one of the ones that still got it though. That's what I like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, right? She's a true artist, right?
So tell me this: if you had to think back, and you thought of any artist that were dope, but for whatever reason they didn't get their proper roses, or they just like no one else knew that they were dope, because like, okay, so for me being from LA, and like the moment in time of kind of me being exposed to the industry as the Pharcyde got signed, and they kind of did their thing. Because like when they got signed, everything happened fast. It was like they had a deal in February. They was on like the Brand New Heavies album, maybe like May. They had their album deal and was recording in like June. It was something along that timeline, like, but very fast. But at the time, there was like some really dope music going on in LA, rapping and singing. Like there was just groups. It was just but then also at this particular time, there was deals everywhere. Like anybody. Yeah, that was a dummy move. That was me too much on it. Too much on it. But there was deals all over the place. And so, you know, some of the artists were like, they might have had the look, but not the talent. Some had the talent, but not the look, whatever. But like, as you were coming up, who was that artist that you say you think sometimes and you say, man, they were dope?
Oh man, it's a couple of, I think, from back in the day. Some of them have done, still, like I said, in this independent realm, if we're talking about hitting a plateau of, say, worldwide recognition, going at least to a status of, say, fame, but
I'm saying
or not known at all. They didn't
they
even do
never
music.
got the fame. They just didn't
They
have
never got any recognition. Oh my God, bro.
but you could be somewhere where they were in their space and you're just listening to it and you're like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yo, I mean, I was gonna say a couple people, but like them people they're underground, you know what I'm saying? And they
Okay.
just haven't popped all the way through. Like to me, like kind of like myself, but I mean, as far as worldwide recognition, but I think they got a little fan base. But I
Okay.
just think that they're more like one of them is Frank McComb.
Okay.
He's already kind of like out there, but I mean, just to me, man, that cat was the first cat like I heard doing like the Donnie, the whole, just to me, he reminded me of Donny Hathaway so much, and he could play his behind on, like it was just a genius at the vocals and the piano, and he helped me with some of the first records that I did, like writing some stuff, man. And just, I just thought that this cat was like, level to where as though, but it's just interesting because this stuff is a little jazzy or whatever the case may be. So, market is always crazy. That happened to me kind of like, we kind of was doing this thing before it was more really thought to be marketable. So, we got the whole, where's the single? You would always hear that. You still hear that. A lot of artists still go through that. Like, we need some singles. We need to, as major labels, not understanding that and not putting that marketing dollar, into artist that is more eclectic or whatever. But as far as just wowment, Frank McCone is like one of the all time. Another cat, man, and he's been around too. But I just think he's just a genius in the studio. Is BJ Horton, I think his name is. Cat is just, man, this cat, like y'all tell you. He comes in the studio, bro, and he's written for like Mario and a lot of people, and he's done his own artist thing too. But he's, his writing and his production style in the studio as an artist, just an all around, cat, just putting records together is crazy. And he's one of the, like that's an old cat, Frank, and this is a cat from the new era, like kind of in the Drake era to me, like. And this cat has like just wowed me in the studio as far as records because he can go back to the Marvin flavor and hit the old stuff and then kind of associate it. Raphael Sadiq is he's related in some kind of way, so they kind of, Raphael was doing some stuff with him or whatever. But I mean, when I say these cats, I mean just they did to me the plateau that I think that they haven't been heard or had the right record yet or whatever the case may be. Like they're like hidden gems from the old school, and that's one from the new school.
Dope. What was your most memorable night in the studio?
Wow, bro. Are you serious? Sheesh. You talking about
artistically? I'm talking about artistically. You're not talking about
what? I might can't disclose that stuff, brother.
I'm talking about music, artistry, not any antics, not any craziness or nothing. I'm saying you in the studio, and because like I've been in the studio, it's a trip. I've been in the studio when a few songs were made that make people, that's not true. I was there when they were recorded because a lot of times, you have pre-production and then you go to the big studio to get it all right and, all that part. But I've heard a couple songs and I've been there in that space and time. And I'm like.
So here's the interesting thing, because I'm humble enough to say, like, I've been in the studio, done millions of songs, like I say millions, but hundreds of songs, right, over the years, right? But if you want to look at it like that, now I'm glad you said that, because here's my little fly on the wall story. So I was in the room when Marsha from Floetry and Andre Harris from Vidal and Dre production duo from A Touch of Jazz did was putting together Butterflies at the inception for
Dang.
Michael Jackson.
Wow.
So it might have been, yeah, just me, like when that was actually happening. Also, Glenn Lewis's Don't You Forget It, I was right in the room when that was being recorded.
I'm a
So
huge Glenn Lewis fan,
yeah,
man.
Glenn's my man. Big shout to Glenn Lewis, Marsha Ambrosia, Dirty Dre. What up, fam? Off. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man. I was in a room with a lot of records like that. I mean, you know, the Big Willie style whole album. Will came down to a touch of jazz and did a lot of production with Ryan Toby. Shout out to Ryan Toby. Um, Ryan Toby was down there doing some writing for Will and different things of this nature. We was doing production. I ended up getting on some production and stuff with that album that Will did, the solo album.
Wow.
And so that was a big moment too, man, just to see Will working, how focused he is when he's doing his records and things of this nature. He goes into a whole nother mode when he's trying to get, an album done. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I've been a fly on the wall on a couple of them type situations, you know what I'm saying, that were like memorable or you know.
What's your favorite? What favorite tour have you been a part of, and what's the best experience you've had while being on tour?
Oh man, so my sister Jill Scott called me, after she had started touring for maybe a couple of years in the beginning, and she asked me did I want to go on tour with her, to promote her album. I think from her second album on. And I was out with her for like 7 years, like doing background vocals, and it was beautiful, man. I think the Sugar Water tours, I don't know if y'all remember that, when it was like uh Queen Latifah, Erykah Badu, Jill, Floetry, and then it was like, yo, man, we did like 2 or 3 runs of like the Sugar Water tour, and that was magical. I mean, we've been on tour with everybody, Maxwell, Anthony Hamilton, so and everybody's cool, man. I mean, when you meet a bunch of artists and y'all get to vibe, you with their background singers, Jill's background, we all, in the hotel laughing, singing, after the show, after parties and things of that nature. That's just all a good vibe, man. It's just like a bunch of musicians that work hard, and then we kind of like celebrate and things of that nature, man. It's just a beautiful thing, bro.
All right, here comes the here. Oh, go
I
ahead.
appreciate I appreciate Jill. Like, she let me kind of see how it's done, you know what I'm saying, from a tour perspective, man. I got to see really behind the scenes and the whole nine of how tours. I mean, that's a lot of work, a lot that goes into it. The pre-production, them going out before all of us, they go and set up everything early in the morning, there all day, the tech people. And then we gotta come, it's mic check, and then it's all that preparation, it's catering, and then it's this, I got introduced to that side of the industry when Jill actually, asked me to come and be, background singer with her, and see that whole touring part of the whole industry, man. Before that, I was doing, shows in my, local type realms of myself, and just, doing albums and whatever. But that exposed me to like the whole tour and how that whole thing is put together with multiple groups, tour busing, management from the hotels on down to the lobby calls and the whole nine, man. And it was a great experience, wonderful experience, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I got a little confession. I like Jill singing. I like it a lot. You know what I'm saying? Her album, her first album, the one that was kind of maybe kind of mainstream a little bit. That was something that was like a very emotional for someone to like listen. Like, she hit a lot of that in that album, kind of like emotional journey, very romantic life type situations, and I can appreciate her that way. But I really like her acting, man. I really,
Oh my
Oh
God.
wow.
I really.
Yo, Tyler Perry had her in the she killed it, man. I mean, we went to Tyler Perry's not I don't think it's the studio that he has now. It's the one before that one. When Janet Jackson came and we were out on tour and we happened to go to Atlanta, man. We went to a studio and he premiered what was the movie? Why Did I Get Married?
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you know, he premiered. We went in the studio and he showed it to her for the first time, man. We were just sitting there like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she killed them Jones, man. Like, yo, and she's still doing acting now, killing it. You know what I mean? Like a
Amen.
lot of different roles, man. So yeah, that's her thing. You know, she acts and sings, man, and poetry and the whole nine. Like she's, you know, multi-talented.
All right, so now we're gonna get to the hard questions, man. I've been holding it back. I gotta let the
Man.
dogs out.
Here we go.
All right, man. You can narrow it down if you want to, but I'm gonna throw it out there.
Here we go.
Your top 4 MCs.
Oh, top 4 MCs. Sheesh. Ooh. You still there?
He's bouncing in and out. He's all right.
Okay, I got you. All
Mhm.
right, top 4 MCs. Like in order, from 1 to 4, from
Oh
4 to
no,
1.
no,
Okay.
I'm not gonna even put that pressure on you.
Sheesh. All right, so Biggie Smalls is the illest.
Okay.
Rakim, Allah, right? KRS-One. Ooh, that fourth one is a doozy. I don't know. I want to say Big Daddy Kane. It's the tie between LL and Big Daddy Kane for me at 4, probably.
I'll accept that, man. I'll really accept that because LL, he just had so much energy. Like you weren't used to seeing. He kind of mystified the whole rap thing when he came out because he just had energy. Like he really had energy when he was performing. And then Big Daddy Kane on a whole nother level, that's some whole other energy. You know,
Right. See, and for me, you know, LL was able to cohesively put projects together. Like that Bad project, man, we were like pumping that at the time, man. It was like, you know, he had a whole theme. That's what Biggie did that too. And everybody kind of does it, but a lot of cats like they got more singles and standout songs. And then some people are able to do standout songs in a cohesive album. You know what I mean? That it's like, you know, Biggie was just to me masterful. It seems like he had everything. He put the whole puzzle together, like the greatest storytelling with the greatest gangster realm that kind of put you right into the movie. And then it wasn't just 1 or 2 hits, it was like hits on top of hits on top of hits. Like it wasn't, you know. So Rakim was my all time at one point in time, but I had to, you know, just like Doc was my all time until, you know, Jordan had to, you know, I was hating on Jordan in the beginning, but it was like I had to bow down at some point in time to the facts. You know what I'm saying? Facts is like, so it's like Rakim was like my all-time joint. It was like, but Biggie came, it was like, yo, the fact of the matter is like this cat killed with like only 2 albums, but those albums are so masterful that I gotta give it to him as far as having the full package. You know, I don't think it was, you know, it wasn't, yeah, he had the full package. But yeah, man, that's my 4 right there. And I mean, it's, you know, honorable man. We go to 10, it keeps going. There's a lot of dope cats. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, just all time, I gotta give it to them cats right there. They held it down.
Okay. Well, this is a question we don't normally ask, but I like this one. What's your top 4 singers of all time?
Ooh, oh man, this is a hard one, bro. Female and or male, or we going male? We going male femality. I mean,
across the board.
Across the board. Right. Across the board. You would say that one. Oh man. You said top 4?
Right. Top 4. We could do 5, but I feel like you already said the one to me.
Stevie Wonder is definitely at the top of this reach. Just for, I don't even know if we gotta even answer why. Aretha Franklin, you know, and then I gotta go like that's like, man, it can't be done. I mean, Shaka, you know, I would say, you know, so I could do top 4 girls and top 4 guys, man. It's just kind of hard to
I can live with that, man.
we losing something when they're not really go here on a range of all time. But if you want to say all time, I would say Stevie, Aretha, man, Donnie Hathaway.
That's what I was waiting for.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of another female that's the all time. And Patty,
Yeah.
you know, it's either Patty or Shaka. Like I gotta, I got personal reasons for Shaka on a round, but I mean, at the end of the day, Patty is like from this area, so Patty held it down. You know what I mean? So that's why that's kind of hard. But I mean, honorable mention: Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, big influences for me. And then of course you got Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Minnie Riperton. We got all the greats like that actually stand out and kind of influenced me. And I ain't even gonna go into the groups, man, like the Stylistics and a lot of the groups kind of are influences too. But nobody never says I'm saying solo artists, But
you gave it. You gave it up. You gave it up.
Now he's like groups.
Yeah, like you're like, what's your favorite group? The five, some people believe that my daughter thought that the Five Heartbeats was a real group.
You know what? I think a lot of Black people would. That's not your daughter's not even in the minority in that one.
Mm-hmm. I know, man. I didn't realize that. I was like, yo, like for real. She was like, yeah, I thought all that time. But I get it. It was based, Robert Townsend did a magnificent job at that, man. He put
the story was supposed to be a couple of different groups, kind of like all mixed up.
It was, right.
Yeah. And he put the story of the Temptation, like all that happened to a lot of groups, the same thing, having the racial issues back in the 60s, getting stopped by the cops on the road, all that. So that stuff did happen. It's just that wasn't an actual, group. Some people are confused on that, man. But nah, like those doo-wop groups and things of that nature, all that stuff kind of really influenced me too, man. As it did Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye came from the Ink Spots and the Platters and that whole era of the groups. The harmonization. That's where we love that. Mike incorporated Michael Jackson. Of course, is my all-time. But we said y'all were talking about singers. Mike is the greatest child singer of all times, first of all. But I didn't even mention that. I mean, we're just going all time of all time. So, we'll leave that. Greatest entertainer, Mike is hands down the greatest entertainer. We talking about singers, I go to like, Donnie and Stevie, Aretha and them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, great question, bro.
Top 4 producers.
Ooh,
it doesn't have to be hip hop. It does not have to be hip hop.
No, you not. Okay. Top 4 producers. So yeah, I gotta go with, Motown. Let's just say Motown, because we're not even gonna say like name the different producers that was under Motown, but I'll just say the Motown sound is a production. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we gotta say Motown, because for Barry Gordy to have birthed Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, the Jackson 5, the Temptations, Diana Ross, it's just too many. Smokey, that is like lightning striking. Like that's just it's just unbelievable. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then the production to be able to do that rain of hits like that, and then have a formula that was working. That to me is still like, it hasn't been like duplicated. And then Gamble and Huff would be my next, Philly International, because that sound actually, came and migrated from the Motown sound and added more of a, I would say, orchestration or a classical orchestration that just Philly just stamped a whole nother, sound other than what Detroit was stamping. It was like, it had our own vibe. So that Gamble and Huff sound with Teddy P, man, and that OJs and all that stuff was just like on a whole nother level. So that production is, one of my favorites. And then you got to say Quincy Jones, man. Quincy, because of what he did, to know that he was with Frank Sinatra, you feel what I'm saying? He actually was like Frank Sinatra's like, conductor, like putting the band and together for Frank Sinatra at the time. And then he ended up doing stuff for like Brothers Johnson and then the Wiz, soundtrack and all the stuff. And then it comes
Secret
to
Garden.
Yeah, but I mean, then he did Michael Jackson's 3 top selling albums. He did Off the Wall, then he did Thriller, and then he did Bad. I mean, fact, like people forget that he did Bad. Like, so he killed the game. And then I got one more, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Teddy Riley.
That's fair. No, stop it. No, Teddy Riley's fair. He invented New Jack Swing.
Teddy Riley started a whole genre within itself.
New Jack Swing.
I gotta give it to him, man. So yeah, Teddy killed the game as far as bringing the hip hop element to the playing element of R&B. You know what I mean? That was a whole, because none of the guys I previously named was able, that wasn't their era. Teddy kind of meshed all those eras to new school and started the plight of people starting to go into that realm. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would be my four. Y'all asked me questions I never thought of before, yo. Like,
I'm gonna add one little last thing to that. I wasn't asked the question because I was asking the question, but I did remember because I was trying to think who was Questlove doing a tribute to when I hung out with Yamin like the last time in LA for real. Oh, Ron Temperton had just died. Oh, and Quest did an incredible tribute. And I was just sitting there listening to the song. I kept trying to remember, and it was funny because I was like, well, it wasn't Michael Jackson, but it was somebody big. And like, you know how your mind thinks to the back of your mind, but oh man, Ron Temperton, man, Heat Wave, just oh man.
Yeah, man, Heat Wave is one of my all-time great. That's why I said it's, and when you say top 3 and 4, it's just very hard to really like say, but Heat Wave, Rod Temperton, and them cats, man, they hit a whole vibe, bro. And he was Quincy Jones's go-to cat for Michael Jackson. Like Michael Jackson's first record was a lot of Rod Temperton's. He was going to do those songs for Heat Wave, and I think the lead singer got into an accident and they couldn't do the song. So now it was like when Quincy called on him for writing for Michael, he had those songs. Some of those records, man, Rock With You. A couple of them records was like, they were supposed to be Heat Wave songs, man. You can hear it when you listen back. You're like, yo, this is a Heat Wave joint. You know what I'm saying? You can tell that would have been a great Heat Wave song, but Michael took it to another level. So, yeah, Rod Temperton's all time.
Any new artists that you like?
Yo, man, I love Drake. I ain't mad. Like what Drake is doing in the industry, I know a lot of people like, this is not whatever. But look, man, that cat is doing something right. He has packaged a sound that, and he hasn't missed, with his realm from the music. He's found a way to kind of give you that same aura that the Luther and the old records gave us, but without as much, say, singing, and then without it, just kind of like with the just the melodies and the whole realm, man. I got to give it to Drake on that, bro. Like, he's definitely a cat that I'm like, yo, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at what he's doing for the, he's quote unquote not a singer like I said, a Stevie Wonder type cat, but the way he puts it together in the studio, I gotta admire it. I can't hate on it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to penalize you a little bit, even though I know judging by the breadth of the, I understand the, age and all that stuff, but Drake has been around 10 plus years. We need you to name a new artist.
See, that's new.
Somebody
that's new.
at least.
And I'm saying somebody that has been on top, like he's kind of been on top. Chris Brown, of course. I'm going to say cats in the millennial. I know it's been 10 years, 20 years almost for some of these cats, but to me, that anything in the millennial is still like newfangled to me, because you got to realize the era that I come from. This is all still like a new phase. So you saying new? Oh, new? You going new?
At least 5 years. At least 5.
New on them. Man, oh man. Wow, bro. You gonna get me on this joint right here.
You're right. They all suck. Next
No,
question. Off my okay.
That's
nah.
not
Oh,
that's
oh,
not
okay.
true, man. That's not true.
So
I like her. Listen, I love her.
yeah,
Her.
Artist
yeah.
her.
Good pick.
I
Good
love
pick.
her, man. I really do. I like a lot of people. I'm just thinking of them now. Like, I just, yeah, I'm
Nigga.
thinking more proven or whatever. Like somebody has actually, kind of showed that they are nailing it, And her will be there in a minute. Like she's already, couple of records in, she's killing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, really a fan of hers right there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Same here.
So
Mhm.
you spent you said you spent about 7 years or so on the road with Jill Scott.
Yeah.
I spent from like 97 until until February, the end of January last year on the road with Farside. So several years. So
Damn.
this last question that I'm going to ask you, it kind of revolves around that kind of thing. So, I've gone through several passports. You've gone through some kind of passport, doing what you're doing or whatever, and you've done your traveling and done everything. So with the COVID situation, what do you see um I guess social interaction turning into within the next 2 years, based on how last March something happened that just it's like hasn't even been a year ago, but the world drastically changed. It drastically changed. Like what do you see?
Oh, bro. Um, is what I see is what I'm trying to hope for. So I'm
Okay.
trying to we're all trying to pray for a better day. That's what my music is about. If you listen to my records, I always try to add a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. Now, going through the tunnel is a whole nother thing. You just got to keep focused on that light. I don't know if it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years where that light will actually come to fruition while we're going through the tunnel. We just got to keep our focus on that light. I think that this is a kind of like they're saying, kind of a reset, you
Mhm.
know, where people are going to realize now the value of life more, the value of health more, and it's just kind of like resetting people's I don't want to say fears, but I would just say like just things that we might wanted to be on a little bit more cautious and things of this nature. And I think hopefully that just like every uh plague and virus or pandemic that has happened in the past, after a certain amount of time, it got better. And I believe that God is in control of this getting better, but it's a tunnel until we get to that other side or a bridge. And we just gotta, stay in belief and faith that there is light at the end of that tunnel, man. So I'm hoping within the next 2 years, like the only thing that'll be changed is that we're just more cleanly, we're more healthier, we're doing more healthier things because we realize that you can't have your immune system for anything, the regular flu, cold, whatever the case may be. You just want to have yourself in order. And if you're not doing everything that you can possibly do to keep your health, whether it's exercise, eating right, drinking more water, whatever the case may be, that is the main focal point. And then cleanliness. I think a lot of people realize how important now after this it is to wash your hands and to, you know, um, cover your mouth and do things of this nature when you sneeze. All of that is bringing back to the forefront things that we might have kind of forgot over the years. It was a time where
Mm-hmm.
you got a cold or whatever the case may be. You went around family members or whatever, sneezing, coughing, and everybody caught it, and you'd be like, cool, like, yeah, I caught the cold from, such and such. It's like, yo, it's like that was cool. Like you didn't care. But now it's like yeah, that ain't, nobody even want to
Not
catch a common
cool.
cold, a regular flu, whatever the case may be. So it's getting us to have more respect, if anything, for people. I don't think, all this masking up and stuff like that. I get it, but hopefully, man, the rain is kind of like let go a little bit more in the near future. That they're
Mm-hmm.
saying it's gonna get worse before it gets better, man. But we praying that, you know, it's an easy transition, you know, to going to the next phase. I hope it's not gonna go to the concerts in the car phase, man. You know, that's the drive-in movie where cats is dancing in the
Oh
car,
man.
man. You know, trying to groove in the car. You can't see the people. You looking at it a bunch of, you know, as an artist, you're looking out at a bunch of headlights. Come
Man,
on,
they
man. Like,
tried a
you know,
couple. They tried a couple of those. They did try a couple of those out
I
here.
don't know, bro. Like, I mean, I'm praying, bro, every day that God is just have mercy on whatever, you know, and we gotta get it together to where we can get back to normal, man. But everybody's like, oh, never back to normal, ain't never going back, you know. So it's like, okay, what's the new norm? Just more cleanly.
That's where we at.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be like, okay, but hopefully it's just a more cleanly and health conscious communities, you know.
Nah, that's tight. Well, nah, man, dude, I really appreciate you giving us your time. You have anything you want to shout out, your projects? Make sure you
Oh
give
yeah,
your
man.
social media.
Listen, yes, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all got a great platform, man. Y'all gonna do big, y'all doing big things and gonna do even bigger. And I appreciate this opportunity for me to, you know, talk to y'all, man. It's been great. I loved it. And shout out to y'all mean for, you know, kind of like plugging me in too.
The
You
mayor.
know, on the joint, you know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
we recently did an album called Image a Nation. And it's like Imagination, but it's Image a Nation by
Uh-huh.
V. My artist name is V. I go on social media as Valvin V Roane, Valvin, the letter V Roane. That's all of my handles. Twitter, uh, Instagram, and Facebook. Valvin V Roane. Follow me, you know, and I'll follow back. And I got an album out right now, put out through BBE Music in London, and it has a lot of life songs on there to kind of make you think and kind of a lot of positivity, man. We kind of put a nice little project together. The boy Jonte Slade produced, with the boy Andre Capers helped me write and produce an A&R the record, man. And you know, we kind of sat and put together like a nice little project. You know, Boots Green, drummer for Jay-Z, and Wiz Khalifa. He actually helped to co-produce and mix the record, man. And we put the joint is I'm really, you know, as an artist, I always after one project move right on to the next project because the time it come out, you know, it's old to us. But this joint has been marinating on me for a year, bro. And it's like a lot of people calling me, telling me that they really like for the times, it's got like some songs, some socially conscious songs that we did last year, not knowing that the pandemic was going to happen this year. So Power to the People is one of the songs, and you know, just some socially conscious joints, which I always try to do because to me, it's always been that climate, you know, since the 60s, since Martin Luther King, since the big revolution of us trying to get, you know, socially, you know, the justice that we haven't had for a minute. So I always try to like seed some of the records more so than doing the love you, lick you up, you know, rub you down Jones, which I'm gonna do eventually go back to some Luther stuff. You know, I do that too. But right now, it just seems like what was more needed was love, man. We got a song called Love Conquers All, which is the last track. And it's really, you know, people really love the song because in a time where it's like this, you want to hear something that is uplifting. So it's not necessarily gospel, some of my songs, but they're definitely spiritual. So yeah, man, go out and support it if you can stream it. I know a lot of people don't necessarily download music no more, but you know, if you can stream it or whatever, man, that would be love. You know what I'm saying? Stream it if you can download it. If you do it, you know what I'm saying? You can go all my pages and find the links on there. You know.
Before we get to Jeremy, I gotta ask you one more thing because this is at the end of the show, so I know it'll be an easy reference for me to come back to it. What was the name of that house song that you said that you did with
Kenny Dope
Massive?
and Louis Vega, Masters at Work. It was called In Time.
Oh, with Louis Vega. Okay, I didn't hear you say Louis Vega earlier. Okay.
Louis Vega. So Masters at Work is the duo of Louis Vega and Kenny Dope. They
Ooh.
are a tandem. You know, they put out records and they did a lot of house music on a lot of different artists. So we did a one. You know, we did a couple actually, but that was one that we definitely. That was the first one. It was called In Time, and that was a pretty like a lot of people love that record. That record's a classic, you know, from what I'm told. I don't put the class on them myself. Just some people tell me those things, you know. So yeah, man, I got into the house space for a minute, did a couple of house songs, and I love all types of music, man. Contrary to popular belief, I like rock, you know, uh everything. I like all genres, man. So, but I'm stick to my roots right now because this is where I come from in the soul genre and the R&B genre. That's what I do best right now. So, uh, that's what we doing, man. But yeah, bro. That's what it's hitting for right there. You know what I mean?
No, all good. What's up, Jeremy? Who you want? You got anything you want to shout out? Anything you got going? This the last episode of Splendid before
Before
2020
right.
is a wrap.
Here, man.
Oh, this is the last joint before the new
2020,
year.
good ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, listen, that's what's up, bro. Damn. This is the last
Nah,
joint
man.
of 2020. Like, yo, we gotta go. We gotta close out with some positive. We might need to close out with a prayer. Like, nah, I'm just playing. What's up, bro?
I mean, yo, if you would like to lead.
Nah, we'll do that. I said it already. Look, we hope to see the light
Come
at the end
on,
of the
man.
tunnel. We hope to see the light at the end of the tunnel, man. We ask God to basically just bless the whole world right now, that we make it through to get to his better, his better day, because we see that in scriptures, man, that it's going to be a better day with peace and no war. We just want it, we want it to come easy, and we want it to be with less casualties as possible, even though we see also in scripture that there possibly will be casualties. But we're praying for everybody, man, and the whole world. It ain't no division, brother. The division is kind of like the devil's tool to kind of like separate. But this is the time for unification, of different nations, but then of all nations. That's one thing about music. Harmony teaches you that everybody can arrange, but like you can coexist in a realm and harmonize, and everybody could be treated equal, and we could all unify in peace. And I think it would be I ain't gonna say I think the world would definitely be a better place if that was done. It's just that we got to figure out who does not want peace, who wants war, and is only set on war, and then we got to do something about that first before we get to the point where we can harmonize with with our own nation, with different nations. We can all harmonize and put down, set down peace on earth, man, like the prayers say. So that's what we asking God for, man. Just allow us to be able to, the people that want to do that, to be able to,
Amen.
Yep.
I can amen to that, man.
Yeah, man. Amen.
Yeah, man.
No,
Jeremy Comedy, IG, everything else. You know what I'm saying?
nothing you got.
Nah, man, chilling, and Happy New Year. Yes, from Splendid Radio.
I
I'm chilling.
appreciate y'all, bro.
Nah, well, man, I enjoyed this with y'all brothers, man. Stay safe out there, man. Duck that Rona the best you can.
Yeah, bro.
Nah, we gonna do this again in 2021, man.
Absolutely. We're looking for more positive things to happen in the next year, man. Great things coming up. I got some things planned. I know y'all do, man. Keep doing y'all's thing, man. This platform is beautiful. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
that.
Absolutely.